Hey guys, it's Ryan with Big Dog Investing. Thank you guys for tuning into my channel. If you guys could do a couple of things for me, if you guys go ahead and like, comment, subscribe to my channel if you guys have not done so already. Click the bell notification down below so YouTube can send you guys notifications whenever I release videos. Watch my videos all the way to the end. And if you guys could share my videos and share my channel with anyone, I'm trying to grow my channel as much as I can, and I definitely need your guys' help in doing so. I want to point out at 250 subscribers, again, I will be doing another giveaway. We've slowly been increasing our subscriber count, but we're still not close to 250 yet. So make sure you guys do that. I will be giving away two different things. So we'll have two separate winners. Getting started though, today's going to be Wednesday, March 29th. The biggest thing we're going to be going over today, it's going to be a little bit of a lengthy video, but the biggest thing we're going to be talking about is Gary Gensler at the House Appropriations Committee. He had a meeting today where he testified in front of Congress and was asking for $2.2 billion so he can help fund the SEC. The meeting was an hour and 41 minutes. I took notes that we're going to be going over. So you guys don't have to watch the full video, but the video will be the first link in the comments that you guys can watch it if you guys choose to do so. But we'll be pointing out some major talking points. With that, we're going to talk about XRP and Ripple towards the end of the video. So make sure you guys do tune in all the way to the end. The total market cap for all cryptocurrency right now is $1,185 billion. This is a 0.46% decrease on the day. Now, we are at a decrease, but overall, we've had a nice run up in the last 7 days. So right now, essentially, we're doing very well. We'll see where crypto goes here in the near term. But as of right now, it's been a positive sign for investor confidence. Bitcoin right now is currently trading at $28,549. Ethereum, $1,797. And XRP right now is at 52.98%. We're down on the 7 day, right, or down on the 1 day right now, but we're close to 20% increase on the 7 day. We were having a down day because we've had a nice run up. We're up 20% roughly on 7 days. A lot of people do like to take profits. Again, for no financial advice, you guys do what you guys want with your guys' own investments. But in my opinion, that's the reason why we've had a nice run up due to the pending lawsuit going to be coming to an end. That's what a lot of people are speculating. Our biggest gainers and losers on the day: ARB is going to be up 8.9%, CFX is going to be up 8.1%, and 1inch is going to be up 7.6%. It was nice to see, though. We have HBAR right here up 5.2%. They were listed on the government's website. We're going to be talking about that here in a little bit. So it was nice to see that up 5.2%. And Algorand's going to be up 3.5%. I do like those two coins. Our biggest losers on the day, again, XRP and Flare. Again, XRP is down, in my opinion, due to a huge run up, as well as Flare also. Flare had a nice run up we talked about in my last video, that they got it added on Coinbase, on Coinbase's assets to be listed on their exchange. In my opinion, I do find it kind of ironic and hilarious that they're going to be listing Flare tokens, yet they still have not given out their airdrops of Flare tokens to customers who held XRP tokens on their exchange. So that was just very interesting. Getting into our Watcher Guru news first, the CFTC chief says the lawsuit against Binance was necessary due to ongoing fraud. I would go ahead and watch my last video. We did talk about this, but they have a lot of information that they're talking about in the comments on my last video. There is a link to all of the different charges that Binance and CZ, their founder, as well as their CEO right now, are being charged with. Came out that Sam Bankman-Fried was charged with bribing Chinese officials with $40 million in crypto. That wasn't really surprising to me. He's trying to do everything he can right now, basically to get out of prison, or to avoid prison in general before he did get caught. Bank of Japan says central banks need to be ready to issue a CBDC to offer to the public as a safe digital payment system. Now, I'm indifferent on CBDCs. It does have a lot more government control, but it's a little bit more transparent also. So again, you guys can come up with your guys' own conclusions on those. Apple introduces Apple Pay Later, allowing users to split purchases into 4 payments over time with 0 interest and no fees. In my opinion, this is very bad for societies. We've had an all-time high right now of debt, especially with younger individuals, because they see, oh, I can just make these 4 payments over time. So I pay once, and then I have 3 or 4 more installments later on. I make X amount of dollars in 3 paychecks. I'll be able to pay this off completely. But they just keep adding all of those up because these payments seem like a little bit more plausible than having just a massive lump sum up front. In my opinion, again, not financial advice, don't buy anything you can't afford. The only things that you should be buying right now, essentially, that you can't afford, and it's absolutely, if you need it, is a vehicle. If not, if you can't afford a new vehicle, go buy a used one. I know prices are a little bit higher, but that's an option for you guys. And then a house. Those are the only two things, in my opinion. I don't buy things that I can't afford. So I don't do any of these buy now, save later stuff. I do purchase things on my credit card, but I only pay for things and use my credit card on things that I can actually afford. It's just nice to get that free percent cash back. World Bank warns of lost decade in global economic growth. Terra founder Do Kwon tells police he was surprised by his arrest. So I was not surprised by his arrest. He did cheat a lot of individuals out of a bunch of money. So it's great that he's going to be tried in the court of law. Just in, 5 major banks raided by French authorities in $100 billion fraud investigation. So France is being hit with this. In my opinion, this is really great. Not that the fact that it's happening, but that the fact that they are actually being investigated, because there's a lot of institutions and CEOs and executives at banks right now that are having issues, not just here in the United States, but worldwide, that are putting us in this crisis. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon to testify under oath in Jeffrey Epstein lawsuit. We'll see what comes of that, if that's even going to be aired. President Biden says the banking crisis is not over yet. It's really funny, though, that our federal government, as well as our executive branch right now, are continuing to say everything's fine, we're not in a recession, except they just keep on changing the definition. We were told that the banking systems were safe. Biden just came out yesterday and said that it is not safe. Former President Trump says President Biden is directly responsible for the bank failures and creating an economic catastrophe that will only get worse. Um, President Biden right now has said that everything that's been going on is President Trump's fault. In my opinion, I think that it is Biden's fault. We've had so many issues going on. Everything's happening under his watch. He's been in office for 2 years now. There's only so much you can put on blame. Like, if it happened the first week that, Biden was in office, all right, I can say, you know what, maybe this wasn't your fault. You just got here. You've been here for 2 years. Start taking a little bit of responsibility and accountability right now. This one was really interesting. Saudi Arabia partners with China to build a Chinese oil refinery for 83 billion yen or $12.2 billion, except this is not going to be done in US dollars. Right now, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, and China are all coming together, changing the way that they do business and going to steer clear of the US dollar. In my opinion, that's going to drastically hurt the US economy and devalue the dollar. The SEC chair, Gary Gensler, to testify before Congress. We're going to talk about this. He did have that. Again, it was a lengthy meeting. We'll go over it. Binance hid substantial links to China for several years, the FT reports. Again, you guys can read through his charges in my previous video. China and France complete first LNG gas trade using Chinese yen, ending reliance on the US dollar for energy trades. In my opinion, I don't know why France is doing this. France is one of our greatest allies. Are more people going to start to join the BRICS nations and getting rid of the US dollar? Saudi Arabia enters trade and alliance with China, Russia, India, Pakistan, and 4 Central Asian nations to step further away from reliance on the US dollar. Again, just keeps on showing how bad it's going to be getting. Bitcoin on display at the European Central Bank in Frankfurt, Germany. That's really interesting. China and Brazil have settled trades in their own currencies, ditching the US dollar. Again, we just talked about the BRICS nations. Uh, Bitcoin did reach $29,000 for the first time in just a little bit. This is interesting also. Elon Musk became the most followed person on Twitter in the world. In my opinion, it was about time. This is due to him owning the platform. We'll see, though, how many of each, with, former President Barack Obama and Elon Musk, how many of these are actually fake accounts, because I'm sure that there are several. Um, Sean considers dropping US dollar. And then this last one right here, Association of Southern Asian Nations considering dropping the US dollar, euro, yen, and British pound for local currency financial settlements. So we'll see what happens, what comes of this. But there's a lot of banks and stuff right now in other countries right now that want to steer clear of the US dollar. I'm going to try to keep track of the time, though, because I'm going to try to keep under 30 minutes. But right here, Gary Gensler, this was yet 2 days ago, comes out and says that he's going to be testifying in front of the House Appropriations Committee. And the reason why is he's going to be seeking $2.2 billion in funds. I'll be posting the link if you guys want to watch this. Again, it's lengthy. Sorry, it's 147 minutes, not 141. But I did watch the entire thing. I did take notes that I'm going to be looking at while I go over it so I can, basically tell you guys everything that stood out to me at least. So Stuart Alderati is the chief legal officer at Ripple, says that the SEC's $2.2 billion funding request includes $650 million for 1,500 new enforcement staff. So how much of this is rulemaking to provide actual guidance versus more enforcement actions that stretch theories of the SEC's jurisdiction far past any further alliance to the law or allegiance to the law? We're going to talk about this. Jeremy Hogan makes a little jab at this and says, for crypto rulemaking, making $1.50 is set aside in the SEC's budget so that the chair Gensler can make a cringy joke about steaks for some other food for social media. And this is because he made a joke about staking instead of the actual steak that you eat, made a little joke about that. And it's completely stupid. He can make all of these stupid videos, but he can't actually come up in front of the committee. But before we get into some of the stuff that stood out to other individuals with this, in the opening remarks, Gary Gensler has to come out and says that these are my own views and I cannot be speaking on behalf of my fellow commissioners or SEC staff. This is due to, again, ETHgate. He has to come out and basically say this, that these are his own views, not the views of the SEC itself, even though he is the chair of the SEC. This was really interesting. Also, he says that their job is to oversee federal securities laws, protect investors, which are issuers, and capital formation and markets in the middle, and basically everything that relies on that. Agency clients are 330 million investors, and these include the 401ks, stocks, etc. And it's $100 trillion capital market that this SEC looks over. He also comes out and says that more people are participating than ever. He does a statistic for 2017. I think he wanted to steer clear of putting it closer to the dates of when the bonus and free checks essentially came out from COVID from the federal government. So he said 2017. That's just my, personal, take on it. Again, not financial advice. But he says the number of clients of investors that advisors now see is up 60%. This is to 53 million from the 36 to 37 million that were previously done. And that the actual transactions doubled. So the doubles amount of the money that is now in the invested markets. Theoretically rapidly transforming markets from electronic trading to cloud to AI to predictable data analysis. And this is great things for innovation, but it also needs to be heavily enforced by the SEC. This was a special note that I put right here because I started. In his own words, he says there is a wild west of crypto markets raffled with non-compliance, where investors have to put their hard-earned their assets, which is their money, at risk in highly speculative asset classes. In my opinion, again, it's not regulated. He hasn't come out with clear rules and regulations, but he does come out and actually say that there is clear rules. We'll go over that in a second. Miss Hansen comes out, and she's from Illinois, and she's talking about the farmers and stuff in her area, local farmers having to deal with this, and says that, sprint outside of jurisdiction that the SEC is doing over climate disclosure rules. So there's a rule right now, there's a proposal that basically every business now has to talk about their impacts on the climate, and that basically allows investors to make more reliant and reliable investments due to the speculation on how harmful the company is, or if they're not harmful. Obviously it's going to be more friendly for investors to do and invest their money in, because they're not going to be deteriorating the total world. In my opinion, I think that that's a grasp overreach of power from the SEC overall. Gensler comes out and says right here that a company, when it's offering securities to public, the public should have a description of the business, material information, and cannot mislead public. He says that there's a couple thousand right now businesses that are doing this and talking about how the climate's going and how they impact. So if a couple thousand are doing it, every company should be doing it. Again, Just because a few companies do something doesn't mean that everyone should be doing it. Many companies put out disclosures, but should it be regulated by law? That's what you guys have to think for your guys' self. And this actually going to hurt companies? Because if a company doesn't disclose it right now, is their stock prices going down? Is investor confidence in that stock being hurt? In my opinion, again, I don't think so, but you guys can make your guys' own descriptions and come up with your guys' own ideas and formulate your guys' own opinions on things. This one was really interesting. There's a Democrat, Mark Pocan. I don't know if that's how you exactly pronounce it. He's one of the first that talked about crypto. He comes out right here in the first question that he asks and says, do you have adequate resources to investigate crypto issues? And Gary Gensler says that they're stretched thin. Significant amounts of non-compliance without prejudging any one specific token or platform, which is kind of BS because they don't have clear rules and regulations, and he's trying to overstep his bounds, in my opinion. Mr. Bishop comes out and talks about how the Supreme Court, gave the rules and regulations, and Gary Gensler comes out and says that this happened in 1946, and then Thorold Marshall wrote it into law. But crypto shouldn't. It was never really a part of it. Gary Gensler comes out and says that there are clear rules and regulations, and it comes out when there's a group of entrepreneurs, which have websites and Twitter and basically a bunch of other individuals that come together, and he comes out and says regulations already exist. They're called securities regulations, and so they're disclosure regulations for when somebody tries to raise money from the public, their exchange, the storefronts in the business, the storefronts themselves, either crypto examples or crypto lending platforms. But those storefronts should come into compliance, and or goal is to investor protection and capital formation. Those are his direct quotes. In my opinion, I think that is completely wrong. There are no clear rules and regulations regarding crypto assets. He's basically just talking about things on his own and basically just trying to perpetuate and come up with why he's doing the things that he's doing. Right here, we talked about this already. This guy right here, Michael Barr, says, if you think you need more rules and you're not enforcing the existing rules, why do you think you guys need more rules? In my opinion, I completely agree. This is one that stood out to 801 XRP. Basically, we had a bunch of banks basically go under. Obviously, the SEC should have caught this. They didn't. So why are you needing more rules when you can't come up with your own rules already? If you guys want to read this also right here, Suzanne Fiedman comes out and talks about in protecting investors right here. This was really good. I would highly recommend you guys read this. This comes out right here. Gary Gensler's written testimony for House Appropriations hearing in 5 minutes. So if you guys want to, you guys can read his prejudged remarks and things that he already came out and said. This is a little bit more information out of Eleanor Tourette. And out of this right here, she comes out and says out of his $2.4 billion he's requesting for the 2024 year is going towards paying employees' salaries, a whopping 1.6 for the 5,473 people. She talks about how this is 125.6% higher than the national average for government employees and 115% higher than other federal agencies, according to open payrolls. Obviously, they're getting a bunch of money to pay their salaries. In my opinion, why do government officials need to keep on making these massive bonuses at the taxpayers' expenses? Obviously, they're not doing their job right now. Why do they deserve a huge raise? Right here, we talked about this already, so we're not going to go over this. But the banks and John Deaton comes out and says that he's sure Elizabeth Warren will blame that on crypto. The House Financial Committee also had one with the CFTC and with the Silicon Valley Bank disclosures right here. This one was really interesting to 801 XRP. Miss Garcia asked Miss Ling, what role did crypto play in this? And then she comes out and says Miss Ling does, and she's right here. She comes out and says that she does not believe crypto played a direct role in either of the failures. And then he comes out and says hashtag crypto is the solution. In my opinion, crypto is not the reason why Silicon Valley Bank or Signature Bank went down. It was your executives taking these massive bonuses, and obviously our federal government didn't catch this to stop it. So the SEC is definitely at fault for that. For those of you guys that don't know, Hester Pierce is a U.S. Securities Commissioner at the SEC. And she comes out and says, if you are raising money for a company, sure, that's a security. But if you are just selling something to be used in a functioning network, doesn't look like a security to me. And I 100% agree with this. Bill Morgan says game, set, match, and Ripple on sales to the ODL customers if those comments are the test. She's basically talking about secondary sales right here. Moving on, though. Blockchain's transparencies make traditional media writing with false narratives look, again, false. Blockchain is completely 100% transparent. Any money that's sent on the blockchain, so if I send money to myself using one exchange to another, or from one wallet to another. So if I send money to a friend or I send money for payments, it can all be tracked with the blockchain. You can't really hide any money as of right now on blockchain. And I don't think it would be, I think it'd be near impossible to do that anytime in the future. So transparency is key with this. Meta Lawman says the CFT correctly declassified certain digital assets as commodities in the Binance complaint. Here's why. Under the Cryptos Commodities Exchange Act, almost anything that trades for future delivery or settlement can be classified as a commodity because Binance allegedly offered future contract options and swaps between Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, BUSD, and USDT to U.S. citizens. Those qualify as commodities under U.S. law. Just his opinion, not legal advice. He is a lawyer, so he has some pretty good advice, or he has good opinions on things which can be, in a sense, considered legal advice if you guys think that. Right here, crypto industry customers have 1 week to find a new home for their signature bank accounts. The FDIC will close their accounts and send them a check in the mail. Meanwhile, all non-crypto accounts have been transitioned over to the acquiring banks. In my opinion, they should not be closing accounts for people who have cryptocurrency. It's completely wrong. It's against the law, in my opinion. They should not have the power to do this. But again, the government has to grasp overreach of power. If you guys want to, this is this week's in Congress. On this list, everything that's going to be going on. It's very lengthy. We don't have a lot of time to go over this. So again, this will be in the comments for you guys. Right here, this is really interesting. John Deaton replies and says, Forbes has learned that Sam Bankman-Fried has been paying his legal fees from a multi-million-dollar gift he gave his father with money borrowed from the FTF sisters company, which is Alameda. For all those loans and gifts to family should have been demanded by the government. And I 100% agree. He shouldn't have been giving out money. And then if he did do it and that money was sitting in accounts, it should have been pulled back because he did take investors' money and customers' money and live his lavish lifestyle, travel, as well as make himself even richer. Right here, he also comes out and says that there is a new bill in the U.S. that's proposed that's a 20-year sentence and a $250,000 fine for those individuals who uses VPNs or any apps that the government has decided to ban. This is a gentle reminder to Americans that have become, this is not the land of the free. In my opinion, I 100% agree with this. They're trying to ban TikTok right now. Again, I'm a kind of iffy on that. I don't believe that it has access. China has access to um, TikTok right now, and being able to look at your data. But if they do, it's a small amount. If unless you're a government official using a government phone, essentially you guys can do with whatever you guys want to with your guys' own devices. John Deaton says, in the fact that we don't have leaders in the United States pushing this bill doesn't scare you, then why you don't truly appreciate the freedom. And I 100% agree with this. Our freedom is number one. We have the Bill of Rights. We have a huge army and military that's able to protect us. We've, thrived, and right now we're falling as a company with our freedoms, and we're falling as a nation right now with our monetary system. Right here, if you guys want to read this, the regulation crackdown on crypto continues. Coinbase is holding up. Barnos is going to be reading this, and this is from the Wall Street Journal. In my opinion, I would 100% read this. It has a lot of useful information, but we just don't have a lot of time in this video. We're coming close already. This is the reason why Hedera went up. So from Crypto Mason, breaking: Hedera featured on the U.S. Department website in the fact sheet about private sector companies or private sector commitments to advance democracy. HBAR was featured alongside Google, Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft. You guys can click the comments right here. This is the link for it. It is there. It was really interesting, and I do love HBAR and the Hedera network with the HBAR token. Ripple contributes to the new digital euro white paper by DEA. Here's the thing right here. Again, this will be posted in the comments for you guys to read. Brian Armstrong, he is the co-founder and CEO at Coinbase, and says, we need to hear from our U.S. leaders. There's 1 million tech jobs at risk right now of going overseas. This is due to non-regulations here in the United States. So we need to make sure that our federal government, as well as the SEC and the CFTC, come up with clear rules and regulations so we can actually have businesses and entrepreneurs thrive here in the US using cryptocurrency, digital assets, as well as different technologies. John Deaton comes out and says, outstanding analysis by Billis S. Little. He is 100%. If Ripple loses, what happens? The status quo happens while Ripple appeals to the Second Court of Appeals. The SEC did not seek a primary injunction. Ripple continues to grow 100% like it has, but if Ripple wins. So he talks about what happens if Ripple does lose. He's right here. He comes out and says that if Ripple does lose, they're still going to operate and still do their business. Obviously, they won't have jurisdiction in the United States, but their company will still thrive outside the United States. Ripple's still hiring right now. And we do have their CEO right now. Brad Garlinghouse has come out and says that they're already operating as if they have lost the lawsuit. He came out and said that a few months ago. But he does believe that they are going to win. But even if they do lose for whatever reason, which no one thinks is going to happen right now, especially with everything that's been going on, he does see Ripple as a company still thriving outside the United States. And I do agree with that. I do love the XRP token. XRP Queen comes out and says that there was a Twitter space with Kathy Wood of ARK, says the SEC is on their way to losing the Ripple case. This is, again, part of the reason why in my opinion, again, not financial advice, that I do think that the XRP token is going up in price right now. And I do see it happening in the future as well, that it's going to go up drastically. Digital Perspectives comes out and says, hey, at Coinbase, this is what it looks like when you get a pair. And right here, he's commenting about DJ Peter Voss. Binance adds new trading pair for XRP despite facing CFTC lawsuit. He's making a jab at Coinbase because when Ripple got sued by the SEC 2.5 years ago, XRP token was listed on Coinbase. Immediately following that, Coinbase took the XRP token off. Binance kind of made a jab at the CFTC by doing this. If you look at their website right here on Binance.com, they have their announcement right here and they have their trading pairs. So Binance adds these trading pairs and XRP to TUSD, which is their stable coin, to their trading pairs. Again, thank you guys for tuning in all the way to the end of this video. If you guys have any questions about the meeting, you guys have questions about things that you want me to answer about some of the comments that were said, or if you guys watch it and you guys have some questions also, make sure you guys put them down in the comments. If you guys can't invest with the big dogs, stay on the porch. Thank you guys and have a good one.